How Kaidon Salter is embracing challenge of following Shedeur Sanders. Tasked with the challenge of replacing Shedeur Sanders, new Colorado Buffaloes starting quarterback Kaidon Salter is now finding his groove on the field and as a leader. On Wednesday, wide receivers coach Jason Phillips shared his thoughts on Salter's emergence. Boulder, the quarterback bar in Boulder was set fairly high when Kaidon Salter transferred from the Liberty Flames to the Colorado Buffaloes last winter. Shedeur Sanders was closing another historic season under center, and it soon became clear that his successor would be met with some pressure. Freshman Julian Juju Lewis was initially expected to land the starting job, but coach Deion Sanders ultimately grabbed the veteran Salter out of the transfer portal and gave him the offensive keys to begin the season. After a somewhat slow start that included third-string Ryan Staub earning the nod against Houston, Salter found his groove in Saturday's win over the Houston Cougars, throwing for 304 yards and accounting for 4 total touchdowns. In college football, quarterbacks aren't just players. They are the heartbeat of programs, the faces of universities, and the standard-bearers for fans whose identities are deeply woven into the colors they wear every Saturday. For some, stepping into that role means carving out a new legacy. For others, it means inheriting one. For Kaidon Salter, it means walking directly into the shadow of one of the most polarizing, scrutinized, and celebrated college quarterbacks of the modern era, Shedeur Sanders. It's not an easy ask. Sanders wasn't just another talented player, he was a cultural moment. With his father, NFL Hall of Famer Deion "Coach Prime" Sanders, guiding him, Shedeur became the lightning rod of an era where college football collided with celebrity, nil money, social media narratives, and larger-than-life storylines. He was as much a headline generator as he was a playmaker. And now, that spotlight, that microscope, that mountain of expectation, it's falling directly on Kaidon Salter. But if you've followed Salter's journey, you'd know he's not the type to shrink from challenges. A legacy to follow. When Shedeur Sanders transferred to Colorado to join his father, the move shook the foundation of college football. From the moment he touched the field in Boulder, the cameras followed. Sanders was electrifying, polarizing, and unapologetically himself. He wasn't just throwing passes, he was redefining what it meant to be a quarterback in the age of social media. His departure left behind not just a statistical gap but a cultural one. Whoever came next wouldn't just need to win games, they'd need to carry the aura of a program that had lived off the Sanders spotlight. Enter Kaidon Salter, a dual-threat quarterback known for his creativity, poise under pressure, and resilience. Salter arrived not as a ready-made superstar with a built-in media circus, but as a grinder. His story wasn't about celebrity. It was about survival, adaptation, and finally finding his moment. The road less traveled. Unlike Sanders, whose path always seemed to intertwine with destiny, Salter's road was messy. His career began with flashes of brilliance but also with obstacles, injuries, depth chart battles, the turbulence of transfer decisions. At each stop, it seemed like the game was daring him to quit, daring him to settle for being just another name lost in the portal shuffle. But Salter never quit. When he could have folded, he doubled down. When others wrote him off, he wrote new chapters for himself. By the time the opportunity came to step into the role once occupied by Shedeur Sanders, Salter had developed not only the skills but also the grit to handle it. That grit is the foundation of his embrace of this moment. The pressure cooker. Following Shedeur Sanders isn't just about throwing touchdowns. It's about managing an ecosystem. There's the media, still obsessed with every word that comes out of Boulder and every ripple from Coach Prime's orbit. There are fans, split between longing for the Sanders era and demanding instant results from Salter. There are teammates, many of whom played alongside Sanders and will naturally measure Salter's leadership against what they once knew. The pressure is suffocating for most. But Salter, instead of resisting it, has leaned in. "I don't see it as pressure," he told a group of reporters in spring camp. "I see it as an opportunity. The fact that people care enough to expect something big from me? That's motivation. I didn't come here to be comfortable. I came here to compete, to lead, and to win." It was a statement not of arrogance, but of conviction. Different players, different styles. Comparisons are inevitable. Shedeur Sanders was known for his accuracy, his calm in the pocket, and his ability to play chess while defenders were playing checkers. Salter, meanwhile, is cut from a different cloth. He thrives on improvisation, on keeping plays alive with his legs, on turning broken downs into highlight reels. If Shedeur was the surgeon, Salter is the magician. That stylistic contrast might be Salter's greatest advantage. He doesn't need to be the next Shedeur Sanders. He can be the first Kaidon Salter. By leaning into his unique skill set, he's reframing the conversation, not as a replacement, but as a reinvention. And his teammates are noticing. "He just brings a different energy," said one offensive lineman during fall camp. With Shedeur, everything was precise. With Kaidon, it's like, anything can happen. You have to stay ready every play, because he can turn nothing into something in a second. Earning the locker room. Quarterback transitions are delicate. Leadership isn't something you're handed, it's something you earn. And when you're stepping into the shoes of someone as influential as Shedeur Sanders, it takes even more work. Salter has approached it the only way he knows how, by being authentic. Instead of trying to mimic Shedeur's swagger or adopt his persona, Salter has leaned into humility. He's been the first in the weight room, the last off the practice field. He's made a point of eating meals with the offensive line, sitting in the back with walk-ons, and making sure every player feels seen. "Guys respect real," said his head coach. And Kaidon is as real as it gets. He doesn't pretend to be Shedeur. He doesn't pretend to be anybody he's not. That's why the team is buying into him. The shadow of Coach Prime. Of course, there's no escaping the lingering influence of Deion Sanders. Even without Shedeur on the roster, the presence of Coach Prime looms over the program. Every success and failure will inevitably be measured against the Prime era. That might intimidate some. For Salter, it's fuel. Coach Prime set a standard, and Shedeur lived it out, Salter said. Now it's my turn to uphold it in my own way. If anything, it pushes me harder, because I know I'm not just playing for myself, I'm playing for everyone who came before me and everyone who's going to come after. It's that willingness to see himself as part of something bigger that has allowed him to embrace, rather than resist, the comparison. The first big test. Every quarterback who follows a legend faces a defining moment early on, the game that either proves the doubters wrong or gives them more ammunition. For Salter, that moment came in a nationally televised showdown against a ranked opponent. The narrative going in was brutal. Can Salter even hang with the big boys? He's no Shedeur. The drop-off is obvious.